Welcome everybody to the South African Coaches Conference. My name is Tsepotela, joined today by Kruger and Lazya. And today they're going to be telling us about starting a new ultimate club. So Lazya and Kruger, please take it away.
Thank you, Tsepu. And good evening. My name is, as mentioned, Greyvenstein, and this is my beautiful wife, Lazya. And we're going to talk a little about starting a new ultimate club. And you'll hear a lot of us and we during our discussions. I think we've played ultimate together for the last 10 years. So we're mainly involved with mixed ultimate. But let me give over to Lazya to do an introduction for us.
Okay, so just to give you guys, those that don't know us, a bit of perspective where our ultimate background started. Career started in January 2013 at Polokwane Ultimate. I had my first official something of Frisbee, I can say, end of 2013 at the October, my first tournament and first thing about Frisbee really. And then we were very fortunate to have a very competitive foundation laid by Polokwane Ultimate. We played multiple tournaments, a few nationals with them and other tournaments. So that was really good for us to start off with. Then in 2016, we relocated to Potchefstroom, where there was already a social full ongoing there. And we became part of that. And then in 2017, February, we co-founded Elevation Potch Ultimate with two of our very good friends. And they're still going strong, usually have two teams playing a tournament. So it was such a fun community and competitive community to be a part of, and really something that we are proud of to have been part of. And then when COVID came, we relocated in 2020 to the Vaal Triangle area. And we started a social in September of 2020, just starting it off here. And then we established Ultimate in 2021, September 2021, and we competed in our first tournament, October 2021, with brand new players. We had a few. We were fortunate to have a few competitive players coming from all Elevation and other places that we had here, but mostly new players. So just to give you a bit of background, we're currently still here. We will be here for the foreseeable future. We just to reiterate, we still have a lot of new players coming in most of the time. We don't have a lot of players that came from the start of 2021 in Ultimate. So we are new. It feels like we're new at every tournament almost, but I think we're starting to establish now here. Yes, that's from me.
Yeah, and as you can hear, we had our fair share of working with new players. So we're going to share today ideas. I believe each group is different. You know, each town's people might be different. So we'll just share a few thoughts. Let me take you through the content of our presentation. I'm going to give a scenario just to set the scene a little. So, for example, you are a player, a person that knows Ultimate. You've been exposed to the game. You know the game, you love the game, and now you move to a new town. And there's no Ultimate in that town, and no one in the town really knows what is Ultimate. Then obviously you're going to start something, because that's what we do. If there's no Ultimate, you start Ultimate, right? So then you get a bunch of people together for the first game. You explain the rules a little. You start. You execute a nice forehand. And the first new person that catches this just chucks it up into the air and it lands in no man's land. We like to refer to it as the no-brainer throw. It's quite common amongst new players. And then it's a turnover. Opposite team, everyone rushes to the disc. First one there picks it up. and the pattern is repeated by another no-brainer throw. So working with new players can be quite challenging, especially if you've been exposed to a more competitive ultimate. But that's what we're going to talk about. We're not going to focus so much on a bunch of experienced players coming together, starting a new club. Our focus will be more on a new club in a new environment. We will further talk about how to attract new players, how to improve the skills and experience of new players, how to keep new players, and also how to build a sustainable, competitive club where new players are welcome.
Okay. So how to start a new club in a new environment? First of all, you need players in order to play. So how to get players to join? We always say the more the merrier. I mean, you can divide into more than 2 fields. So you rather want more to get the real feel of Ultimate. So word of mouth is your best marketing tool, because friends will invite friends and family, and it just continues. The dominoes keeps on falling. Okay, that is, if you're doing it right, that's how it will go. Okay, then the important thing is also to decide what kind of community of Ultimate do you want to create. If it's very competitive, then you would probably want to try and target more people that really like sport. So you'll try and get communities that enjoy sport and is athletic and strategic in the sports sense to join. If you want to focus on more younger, or you don't care, then you've got options: schools, universities, youth groups, organizations, churches. Wherever you want to go, you can go and get a community that's already there, established, and get them to join. Because that is like, and you want someone in that community that is a loudmouth or just knows everyone and loves telling everyone, come and join me. You want that person. No, well, you need to know people to do that. So get those people to come. Even if they're not your strongest player, they'll bring them. Okay. Then there's ways of thinking out of the box, which is more events. So the main one that I put down here is hat tournaments, because it gives you the opportunity to have brand new players come and make it a very welcoming environment and a fun environment, because otherwise it can also scare them off. So it must be well planned and well organized to maintain those aspects. Then you first need to get people to enjoy the game of Ultimate. The more they enjoy, the more they are invested they will become. So be sure to make it enjoyable. I'll talk about that in the next slide a bit more. Start on their level. There's no point in having brand new players that been playing 2 to 3 times and saying, listen, okay, let's do this strategy. We're going to implement a zone. We'll tell you all about that. And you must break the mark when you're throwing. It does not make sense, because that is more advanced strategies. Coming on their level, they just want to throw a basic throw and actually catch it. So make sure to show them those things, and when they make mistakes, to encourage them, not focus on that. So yes, come in on their level. So important. Put yourself in their shoes. Remember how it's been when you were there, and what would have helped you to enjoy it more and to grow more from the beginning. And I actually thought, now thinking of that, is, you know, a lot of times new players in a social environment, you're like, no, don't throw the disc and stuff. But in a social environment and a new environment where it's not competitive, people need to throw a disc, make a mistake. A lot of our players would sometimes be, but I can't throw my forehand yet good. I'll be like, but how are you going to learn if you don't try it here? I mean, a tournament and competitive, that's different when you're drilling something. But when you're getting people to join in, let them try. That's how they're going to enjoy and grow. Okay, so next one, limit the use of rules. So the reason we really believe strongly in that is because people can get overwhelmed. I mean, there's so many rules and they can become complicated. So when we think of brand new players, a brand new environment, this is not a competitive club, just new social environment, I can put it like that, right? You won't shy away from rules such as dangerous play and contact. That's a no-go. We still focus on those, but we don't go into the detailed, difficult rules. We try and keep it basic. Yeah. So, but still remains structure. We believe really in that, and the reason for our belief in that is it gives people space. It gives them space, even though they're not as experienced or as dominant or aggressive player maybe as the next. And that's also the reason we tend to implement a host stack in socials, because we try and tell people this is your space. It's a very rigid host stack, please bear in mind, but this is your lane. Keep in your lane, and then you'll have that your space to play in. Otherwise, you have someone cutting horizontally, closing that your other players off, and they don't get the time to have disc in hand. And you need people to have disc in hand to enjoy it. I mean, not all the time they can defend as well, but they want to have disc in hand at some point. And that's what host stack helps with. Newbies otherwise have chaos, and it will be like sheep running around trying to find the best grass. Not ideal.
And we tend to prefer the house stack above the vert stack in new teams, just because with a vert stack, your strongest cutter will usually take over. And the less strong cutters that doesn't really know what to do will remain stationary in the middle of the field. So we found that the house stack is for us more effective when people are new.
And it can be frustrating, because if a new player does cut and they don't clear, then there's already, it defies the point. So there's so many reasons for us enjoying host stack with new people more. Take leadership. New people can be very wise and know it all when it comes to certain aspects. So you will have someone that's a great leader but don't know any ultimate, and they'll take lead, but it won't be beneficial to players because they don't really know what they teaching, and therefore they are now just leading them in the wrong direction. So take leadership, lead by example. Then the next one is location, location, location. We really found that this makes a big difference. I think a lot of clubs will say that it does really make an impact. At this stage, we're looking at relocating because we realize that in the area that we are in, it doesn't attract new at this stage. We get the same, but it doesn't grow. So location does make a big difference. The time that you train, I mean, that's not always for everyone possible to train at 7 o'clock in the evenings, because you might have a family life, or you can't train in the dark because of light, whatever. That can be limitations. But it is important to consider time with regards to the community you're trying to target. If it is adults that's working, try and do it after work. Consider the traveling time. If it's younger, a mixed environment, consider having it in between, because you've got younger people that maybe needs to go to school and can't stay that late. So that is just things to consider. Then how to keep new players. Okay, so now you got them there. How do you keep them? Maintain a positive vibe. And what does a positive vibe mean? It means to be welcoming, encourage them. If they do something, say well done on that, not be like, why on earth didn't you catch that? Or why did you think of throwing that? There's no point in going down someone's throat, because it's not going to build them up. And I think that elevation was about elevating people, and that's where we really also feel still in all our clubs. That's our we want to do that. We want to elevate players. We want them to be empowered just through the game of Ultimate, and feel welcome and part of a community. So yeah, there's a lot more to positive vibe, but that's just some of it. Use all your players during game. I already mentioned some of that with the host stack, but I mean, if you handler and you're more experienced, and throwing to that person, likelihood they'll drop it. The other person's very close on, so they can D it, or they'll catch it and they'll throw it away. So what? How are they going to become more involved and grow if you don't use them. Be like, oh, no, I'll use the strong player. You're investing in the strong player, but what of the rest? And you're going to lose people if you play a 2-man game or a 3 or 4-man game. We've got a newbie rule that we use. For the first 2 games a person joins, depending. So this means that if the disc is thrown to the person and they drop it, we call the newbie rule, and that person can pick it up. We'll tell them, listen, you actually lost it, but please pick it up. It's your first time, and go for it, you know. And that we do, and what we also do, is if you're experienced player defending a less experienced player, we usually try and give them the in cut, because you will most likely be able to defend that person. But for the first 2 or 3 times they join, give them the space so that they get the feel of running towards the disc and getting it. We don't give deep, but we give in, and that gives people a lot of time with the disc in hand and being part of the game. Don't cancel training. Like, really, even if you're 2 people, don't cancel. We're half an hour from our club, and we've had 1 person pitch up and we go. And what do we do then? We train, and it's like one-on-one training with that person. And it's happened a lot, and we found that it's actually very valuable. Yes, it is not always the ideal, but if you want to invest in people and in a club, that is what you need to do. Don't cancel, because as Kruger always says, if you cancel, people start putting other things in that time, because it's maybe going to happen, maybe not. So that's just something we find effective. But you need a balance between competitiveness and fun. You've got people that's not competitive, they just want to have fun, so let them have that. But you have people that wants it to be a bit more challenging, every time working on something, having it be a challenge for them, and for them to grow. But you need a balance between the two. It can't just be fun, because then you can't be a club, and it can't be just competitive, because then you lose people because they won't always enjoy it. And through that, you equip and train players so that they can grow. The more they grow, the more fun it is. Even people would say, I'm too unfit. I'm like, but come become fit here. Come be unfit here, but you will become fit as it goes on. You will learn to throw as it goes on. And the more you grow, the more fun it is. Yeah, that's it for me. Okay, yeah.
Just to add on, there will always be, in every single team, there will always be the people that like competitiveness and want to push, and then you'll have the people that just want to play for fun. So it's important to strike the balance.
Yes. Make what Kruger will explain now, otherwise have some other options.
All right, so let me talk a little bit about how to build a sustainable and competitive club. Okay, so especially with a focus on sustainability, new players must always be welcome. People get married, people have children, people move around, life happens. You might not always keep your experienced players. They might move away. So it is actually crucial to have a pipeline for new blood to come into your team, especially with the focus on sustainability. So that brings along one very big challenge I think most teams are experiencing, and it's that experience gap between the new players and the experienced players. And that gap will be ever increasing. Hopefully. So the more your experienced players grow, new players come in, there's that gap. And it can cause a lot of frustration. Especially thinking back about that scenario that I made in the beginning about the no-brainer throw, and then everyone in the club is just like a bit frustrated. So but you're gonna have to deal with it. It's really important to have new players constantly coming into your team. You need to figure something out. So something that we have implemented in the past that was actually very effective for us was to split club training from social. For example, you have one social day per week, and that's typically where you invite new players to. And you take it chill. You play to enjoy the game and just to show people the game of Ultimate. You play limited rules. As Lazya mentioned, you're gonna just overwhelm them. Don't call a pick necessarily or a travel unless they literally run with the disc. Let it slide. Just play, and then yeah, that's basically you focus on enjoyment.
The more people you have, you can even have more than one social day. So it just
yes, depends on the time and the amount of people and so on. And then you can also have 1 or 2 or maybe 3, depending on your time, club days per week. And that's typically where you invest in the skills of your club. So that's where you can run a few drills, work on certain strategies. That's where you prepare for tournaments and so on. And we've found that the combination between these 2 days were quite effective. So the social day sort of became the pool from which we recruited to the club. Especially when you recognize potential, new player what has great potential, you can approach the person, invite him over to the club. And yeah, it was actually very effective.
You just a limitation to this is you do need the numbers in order to do that. Otherwise, your socials will just be your club players as well. So you really do need enough that wants to join a club in order to split it. So if you don't have too little that's committed for a club, then it becomes complicated. That's where we're sitting now. Ideal is to split them if possible.
Yeah, so this is the ideal. Well, we're not there yet currently, but we're aiming for that. Okay, and then get club players to commit to training. I don't think you want to be in a scenario where people attend 1 in every 3 training sessions. It's you want to work on certain strategies, and then people will fall behind and miss some of the stuff that builds onto one another, and it's just gonna end up in frustration. Okay, and then another topic that can be quite a hot topic in Ultimate is invest in your ladies. So ever since we've started, we've realized in South Africa, maybe other places in the world also, there's quite a challenge when it comes to the use of women in Ultimate. We've literally seen teams play a tournament with 5 men at a time.
That was in the start when there was still 5 men on the field.
Yeah. And then the ladies were basically just there to fill the numbers and to defend our women. And for me, it's not wise, and it's also maybe a bit selfish. But especially it's you limiting yourself. I think it's a mixed sport. Okay, referring to mixed ultimate. The ladies are on the field 50% of the time, so we're gonna have to be equal in the game. And to make an example, imagine you have a bodybuilder and he's only exercising one arm, exercising one shoulder, and now he has to do weightlifting. We can lift the weight, but it'll be a bit off balance. One arm can lift, the other one not so much, and so by not exercising the whole body, you're actually weakening the body. So just invest in your ladies. It's gonna be in your benefit.
You mentioned before as well that have your ladies be part of your leadership.
Oh yes, of course. I wanted to mention have at least one lady in your lead, or more. I mean, at least one in your leadership structure, just to have a voice. Because I think a fact of life is that men can be blind to the issues that ladies are experiencing. I think in ultimate, maybe in general life.
Yeah.
But so have that voice there.
It's just it's a different perspective. It just helps. A lot of the times when we talk about it, I sometimes need to tell him, but okay, hear it from how we experience it, because it's not sometimes intentional that men don't use the ladies, or sometimes it is, but it is not. A lot of the times it's not. They just don't realize how dominant they like to dominate a space sometimes in socials or stuff like that. So just to consider those kind of things as well, and that helps. Yeah.
All right, and then train and equip new leaders, coaches, captains, and spirit captains. So you can't always be there, and you can't do everything at a tournament. It's gonna, yeah, you need support, and especially when you're not there. You don't want to be in a scenario where you have to cancel a tournament because you can't make it. So a part of leadership is also to train and equip new leaders to take over when you're not there. And especially if you maybe leave for again for another town, then what's going to happen with the frisbee? You don't want the club to dissolve because you left. Then you've lacked something in your leadership. So a leader will also train and equip new leaders. And then the last point is structure the club with different roles. But now I'm referring more to like a committee that's running the club. For example, have a person that's doing the finance, someone that's doing admin, kit orders, someone that's doing events organizing. You can structure it the way you want, maybe even coaches, however you like, but it comes down to the principle you can't do everything yourself, and you're just going to achieve much more if there's a few different roles in the club. So yeah, I think that's
us.
Yeah, that's it from our side. I'm not sure if there's any questions or comments.
Thanks so much, guys. I really enjoyed this talk about starting new clubs and new clubs essentially. Do you mind just quickly going to the previous slide? I think there was something that I saw there, or the one before that. Yes, in terms of getting new players to join, you mentioned that like you need someone that like can approach new people and or you want to find people to bring more people. So now I'm asking like in terms of a practical example where I am a new guy, I pitch up in a new place. Where do I go? Like, do you just pitch up to a school, say, ding dong, hello school, I have ultimate. Do you want to play? Or do you start with like the people that you sort of know and then you build up that way? Just looking for a clearer, a more specific picture. Yeah, if you don't mind.
I think there's various ways you can deal with it. I think the most effective is having someone that's already part of a community. For example, I will be convinced to do something by someone that I trust and someone that I know and that knows me. And meaning that's why I always say try and get someone in that community. We like to approach schools in the sense of having someone as a teacher or as a learner at a school, because what we've seen is we've got a few of a school that joined. They asked their friends to join. I think we've got a 5 or 6 that was a friends group that was in grade 11 or matric that started joining us, and the whole group came. We've got one of our players that's a really good marketer, and she's part of a young adults group. And she will be like, listen guys, you must come and play. We also thought what she can do there is they have this space she can take a frisbee with, and she really wants to do that when she is not injured anymore, and show them a bit just before their young adults action starts. Oh, this is what it is, just having some fun. So what I'll do, but this is my personality, I'll be like, oh yeah, we do sport, we play ultimate frisbee, and people will know the question, what's that? And I see it as an opportunity, and I'll be like, oh, this is what it is. You can go Google it, do this and this. So it depends on your personality. I think main thing for me is it must be someone that enjoys doing it. Otherwise, you'll cringe every time someone asks you that because you don't like those kind of questions. But be part of the community is easier if you're part of a community to get people to join because they know you and they're willing to follow you.
Well, I think if I understand the question correct, so it starts with people you know.
I think so.
And then you build from there. And like you mentioned, the people will know people, and someone is maybe a teacher at a school, and yeah. So it's well, you have to start with the people you know and grow from there. Maybe you work somewhere. Hopefully you have colleagues that that you can approach or whatever. I think it's
more effective. Like I said, I've done that. I would tell random people this, but it worked most of the times when it was people that we knew, they would come. The random people that really don't know you, they must be like very spontaneous and out there to do that. And some people are more, oh, it's new, I don't know anyone there, I don't want to pitch up there and not know someone. So that's why I would also, when I invite new people that I don't really know, say, bring friends with. I'll say, bring the friends with, then you're not alone, you know someone. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think the entry point was the key question for me, and starting with people that you know is probably like a key place to do it, because you mentioned how you want people to trust you, and people that you already know already trust you. So just start with those networks. Second question, in terms of like ladies for mixed ultimates, what are when you say invest in them, do you mean like spend more time with them, give them extra skills? Do you mean like just pass to them in pickups more often? Is it just a change of mindset? Like, yeah.
Yes. Right. I think it's basically all of what you just mentioned. It's definitely a mindset, and you need, as a leader, you need to coach that mindset. It's not okay for people to ignore the ladies on the field. For an example, I think we've even implemented certain strategies at some points to give our women a bit of exposure. Like just a stupid example, when we played house stack, we tend to, okay, at that point in time, there was men that were very fast, very fast running, and very eager, maybe a bit over eager. And they're just cutting everywhere. And then we sort of make a little split, put in a house stack, imagine the two ladies on the one side of the field, and the other two men, was men cutters on the other side of the field. So they were just, yeah. So we kept the men a little out of the space of the ladies. And so that half of the field where the ladies are is up to them to get open. So that's one stupid example, and I think it's the big thing is it's like it's a culture in your team. Teams will have a culture to not include everyone, and then you'll have teams that have the culture of making an effort to include people. And I think part of investing in women is to sometimes have a discussion about their frustrations. Because as in some of elevation where we used to be, I think we didn't do bad, but we had discussions with the ladies where they raised frustrations, and then you listen, like all good men do. You listen, and then you work on it, or you figure it out.
I can just reiterate, coming from being a woman in ultimate, and I think that is something that kept me there. So I like competitive play. I'm someone that's done sport for all my life, and something that I was very fortunate of from Polokwane's time up till where we are now. In all the clubs we were, the women were used. So, meaning used, they were played, they were trained to become better. They were acknowledged. They were used for their strengths, and that made the difference. Because if Polokwane did not use me and I was there and I felt like, I'm just filling a space, I would have left. Because what's the point then? Then I can go and run somewhere else, go play something else. And that is something that really make a point of, even in socials. Say, for example, we have ladies that are not as sporty, but they enjoy coming. We would be like, if I see, listen, this lady, she does struggle a bit more. She hasn't gotten the disc yet. I'll say, for example, because we're usually in opposite teams, I'll tell him, listen, just check out. She hasn't had the disc yet. Even if you force the disc to her, and then they make it.
And we do that. Sorry to come in, but a lot of times Lazya came to me and said, that lady, she haven't received the disc once. Then I literally force the disc to her. If she looks open, I'll throw. Even if it's a turnover, that's what we mean investing in people. You try, you make an effort, get him to gain confidence.
It's easier the more the better the ladies are. I do realize that does make it easier, and I think it makes it more challenging when they are not as sporty or as dominant or aggressive in their way. Aggressive meaning ego in their way of playing. It makes it easier. So if they're not in that way, I can understand. We've had players like that, and there you need to motivate and you need to build their confidence, and that's the way you'll need to determine what to invest in each player, because it will differ even in that.
Thanks for that. Last question from my side, just to discuss some of your current challenges now that you are in a new space. I know that we've had some discussions about it, and you mentioned like some of your challenges, like location and stuff like that. But I'm sort of also looking for the thoughts that you've had to sort of like overcome these challenges, if you have had them already. I sort of want to see how the process of getting to a solution sort of happens for you guys, if you know what I'm saying. You might not have the solution now, but I want to see where like you're going, if you have that with you.
Okay. Yes, it's a good question. We currently have a bit of challenges with numbers and so on.
For club.
Yeah, for the club. And I think part of okay, what makes it difficult, I think, is the fact that we now have children, and the time is, we don't have the same time as we used to have that we can give to ultimate. And I think that makes an enormous difference. And that's why we see how important is location and time of training, because that's something we are limited to. We can't train too late because children's schedule and these sort of things. So we need to train earlier. But a lot of people works, until 5, and they quickly want to go home, and you get the point. So I think that's our biggest concern. So we actually know what we can do to overcome many of these challenges, but I think it's where we are in life that I think brings this about.
Yeah, it makes our situation complicated, but I think if we go further than that, and bring it to a point of, it does take time. I mean, anyone that goes, it takes time. I mean, we talk about ultimate so much, that and it takes a lot of mental space, but it also takes physical time, and especially when it comes to a new club and a new environment. If we were at elevation now, it wouldn't have been an issue because we wouldn't have been running it. But still, we want to play, we want to invest. So ways to overcome this is to, bear and realize that a few weekends will be taken up, and it's something we're considering to have events as we had a tournament, but now we can build on that, have another one. We are looking at maybe moving closer to NW Vol, because we know it's the type of players that have time and that will enjoy it. We've got a few connections more in Van der Bijl than we have in Vereniging. So your mindset needs to look at opportunity and see where's the opportunities. How are we going to get that opportunity and make it something that we can utilize? So irrespective of our position, I mean, we still have the opportunities in different ways. So we just have certain situational difficulties on our side, but I think we actually done well so far. We've got a lot of this year we've grown again. We've had a lot of dry times for winter, definitely one of them, but we're starting to see now that people are investing more. We just need the numbers, but we can see that there is fruit coming from time spent, even if it was at points just with 2 players. There's fruit coming from that thing.
And also mention that the next step will also be to get, when it comes to train and equip new leaders. So we're actually talking about having someone that can do a social day.
Yes.
But okay, you need to grow in that direction in terms of numbers. And so we won't necessarily be able to make the social day always, or most of the time not. So it needs to be someone that is committed and know the game well enough. And we now in that
we're moving in that direction. So I think that's, like you said, what are we implementing in order to address our difficulties? And these are some things that we've talked about. The specific player is just injured, so it also has its constraints.
Yeah.
Does that help? Is there something that we can elaborate?
Sorry, I want to add one more thing. What we've noticed, also especially from previous clubs, this is a process that might take years. We found that the people that are invested enough to take charge, it takes sometimes a few years, or an established club to start from scratch. I mean, in Poch, there was a few years of social.
I think 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, a few that people played social ultimate. Before the club started.
And you grew from that, which helped.
Yeah, so there was already a pool of players to start over, especially maybe in smaller places. It might take a few years. It's not necessarily gonna be like that, and then you have a team full of committed players.
Interesting. Just as you guys are talking about opportunities, I was thinking, oh, you guys are parents. Maybe you should invite other parents.
We do, and we tell them they can bring their kids, and the kids play next to the field. We do. We tell them we've got a creche on the side.
You guys are already 4 steps ahead of me. Oh wow. Okay, so you guys are already thinking of the opportunities.
I'll send you our picture that we send out. At the bottom it says kids off. There's a whole line for people that they can bring their kids. It's a safe environment.
Very, very smart, guys. I like that. Really taking opportunities.
Yeah, our daughters are already playing. They're just a bit too tiny. Our 3-year-old loves running when we have a pool, and she has the disc and she'll throw it to one of us. So we're investing in them already. 2, we've got girls. We know there's usually a lack in ladies, so we had 2 girls.
Ooh, watch out. In a few years, the universities will be calling, hey? Big time.
We're almost sitting with the women's line.
So close. Okay, that's all from me. I'm not sure if Joan or Melissa want to ask anything before we wrap it up.
Is it all good?
I'm good, thanks. But that was very informative.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Thanks again, Kruger, Lazya. I really appreciated this talk. Lots of things that I'll be taking from this. recording will probably be going up sometime this week if I can get my act together. But I'm looking forward to seeing this on the YouTubes and more and more people getting involved and really learning from this how to start a new club, because tons of very, very key tips here. But yes, thank you very, very much, guys.
No, thanks to you also, Tsepo, for hosting this.
Yes, for the initiative to get us off our bums and do something like this.
Look, not going to lie, it was I needed information. I knew the people that had it, so I just figured let's get it going. And you guys didn't disappoint. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tsepo. We appreciate. Kialiboga.
Oh wow. Dankie. Aangename kennis.
Samaya